Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to When Women Preach. This podcast exists to empower AAPI and Latina women faith leaders. I'm Joana Choi, and we're here with our co-founder and executive director, Young Lee Hertig. And our guest for this episode is Reverend Angela Furlong, and she's currently a participant in our Pastoral Lab program. And in addition, she's a priest in the Episcopal Church. Her call to ordained ministry follows a lifetime of eclectic and fruitful calls in the secular world. She's held several professional positions as a teacher, a neurobehavioral specialist, a parenting specialist, a linguist, a naturalist. She's also a wartime veteran, and her familial experience is both multiracial and multicultural, and her values reflect that. Her father is African American, mother is Luso-Asian, her sister is African American, and her brother is Chinese Indian. And she's a passionate advocate for the oppressed, particularly LGBTQIA plus and people of color. And she tirelessly professes God's unconditional love for all, and above all else, she is passionate about the healing power of love. Thank you for being here today. It's wonderful to see you again after our retreat.
Thank you for having me.
So we just want to start off with the question, can you share your testimonial of how you came to Pastoral Lab? How did you find out about it? I know that you drove from Berkeley to LA once a month to attend the in-person meetings, which is amazing. So just would love to hear how you found out about it.
Yeah, so I was in seminary and I was in my third year, and I spent my entire first year of seminary during the pandemic lockdown. So everything was on the computer. I was talking to some representatives from Trinity Wall Street who purchased our seminary, and we were talking about different opportunities. And they asked me if I had heard of Isaac or of Pastoral Lab, and I hadn't. So they told me all about it and introduced me to Young. And when I called Young and we set up a time to meet, and she told me all about the program, I decided that instead of doing it online, I wanted to be in person. I was tired of doing online things. And so even though that meant that I would have to drive down to LA once a month, I gladly did so.
So inspiring.
Yeah, I know Young was really excited about that. I just kept hearing about this person who was driving all the way from Berkeley to LA.
Yeah.
Well, and you've added so much to the group, so we're just really glad that you're a part of it.
I'm grateful to be a part of it. And now, since then, I've moved away. And so now I feel like I'm part of two groups, I'm very grateful for that. I've been embraced by the Northeast Southeast cohort, but I've also been welcomed to remain a part of the LA cohort peripherally. So I'm grateful for that.
I feel like that speaks to who you are as a person too, in that you have this really rich background we named a few of them, teacher, neuro, behavioral specialist, linguist, you're Episcopal priest. And so can you share with us how, you're able to exist in such different spaces and still be who you are? Can you share with us how each of the roles that you held within your life have influenced or have enriched your role as a reverend at this time?
Yeah. So when I had to join the military to go to college, and when I joined the military, I was so young. I was 18 years old, and I wasn't thinking about war or anything other than affording to go to college. And I knew that if I joined the military, they would house me, feed me, and train me, and I would be able to go to college. So that's what I did. Unfortunately for me, war broke out when I joined the military, and I ended up serving as an Arabic linguist during the first Gulf War and the ensuing conflicts after that. And I also served as a Macedonian linguist during the Bosnian conflicts when I changed languages. So because of that, it took me 9 years to get a bachelor's degree. I got my bachelor's degree and got out of the military and started working in the field that my degree served, which was psychology. And I started working with children with developmental disabilities. And that's where I became a behavioral specialist. I did that for a few years. And then I pursued a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, which brought me further out west in my state of Maryland. I did that for a little while, finished my master's degree, and got a job with the health department. I always wanted to be a teacher and a helper, a giver, and I wanted to help children who were underprivileged like I was as a child. So I took a position at the local health department and wrote a grant for my position and a program that I developed for high-risk preschool children and their families. It offered social skills curriculum to the children and parenting classes to the parents, but it also supported them socioeconomically through the provision of gift certificates to pay their electricity and grocery gift cards and things like that. I think that informs my ministry because, in the church, you work with people from across the spectrum, from the underprivileged to the very privileged. And so I've been able to develop relationship with people all around the church, inside and outside, and understand the context from which they're working. I've also been very passionate about underprivileged as far as LGBT and people of color because of my family background and understanding what it's like to be discriminated against my entire life for many different reasons, either for being Asian or being in a family that has Asians and African Americans, for having queer people in my family, the whole gamut. So I feel like it helped me become more well-rounded so that I could then serve God's people more effectively. Yeah. I don't know if that covered all of my past lives of my careers, but yeah.
But I hear the common thread, which is that you really wanted to be present with people, specifically with people who were marginalized or, as you said, underprivileged and whatnot. And all of that has informed your ministry, which I find quite beautiful because it reminds me of something that Howard Thurman wrote, which was that majority of the people in the world live with their backs against the wall, and his quest was to find what was the gospel message saying to them. And a lot of the times we hear the message about like Christians should be serving the community because it's the right thing to do. But then what about the people who are in the communities and how do we empower them and walk alongside them? So
Yeah. And I feel like I spent a lot of my life feeling like I didn't belong anywhere because I was either being told that I didn't belong in the Asian community or told I didn't belong in the African American community, which is the community that I was raised in and half my family is. And I never quite fit in the white community. And so I kind of internalized that type of racism where I literally felt like I didn't belong anywhere until I realized that I do belong everywhere. We all belong.
how did
And
you
together we're all beautifully and wonderfully made by God.
how did you get to that realization? What was that journey? And what was that? Was there a light bulb moment or was it a progression in your life?
I think it's progressive for me. I'm an internal processor, so I carry a lot of this around with me. I can compartmentalize, but it's always in little pockets within me, and I can refer to them and apply them to different experiences. And as you both well know, racism is alive and well today.
Yeah.
And so, being from the family that I'm from, I experience it all the time. And I see also in others the desperate need to feel like they belong. And so, through my own actions of trying to help people realize they do belong everywhere that they are, just the way that they are, that helped me change my internal mechanisms to accept that I also belong everywhere. I need to, they say when you preach, you're not just preaching to the people, you're also preaching to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was basically preaching to myself and teaching myself that I'm just as beloved as the people that I'm trying to impress upon that they are beloved.
Angela, often people who's been discriminated against and marginalized, there are wounds that they carry and baggages that they carry. When I see you, I don't see those baggages playing out. There's something of a wholeness that I see in you, that you said you've got multiple pockets within you. And one of the African American womanists described that many parts in you. She talked about shifting self. Depending on the context, you can shift.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that you are schizophrenic or you have split personality. You are being pretty resourceful and you belong everywhere. Yeah.
Right.
Adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is one of the main lessons in Pastoral Lab. So you're living it.
Yeah, and that's actually what birthed the Kintsugi eggs, because I was coping with the pain of the shutdown, being in a new place. I mean, it would have been hard already given the marginalization that I was used to experiencing already, but then to be in this total lockdown across the country on the other coast in a little apartment, and I knew no one. And when I first started there, I wasn't even on the email distribution, and nobody realized for a long time. It took a while for all of that to be aired and to be rectified. So I was feeling pretty broken. It was a really desperate time for me. And I'm artistically inclined, so I cope through art a lot of the times, art and gardening, which is also an art. And I was cooking some eggs for myself, and I cracked the egg and I looked at it and I thought, I feel like this egg, can it be repaired? And I've always been enamored by the art of kintsugi. So I thought, I bet I could kintsugi this egg and make it beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
With all of its brokenness, And so I made my first kintsugi egg and I painted in the colors of the rainbow, not just to support people in the LGBT spectrum, but also to remind myself and others of God's promise to us and God's unconditional love for us. And so I made a few kintsugi eggs, and then I started making them for people in specific contexts. I had another seminarian who was graduating at the end of that lockdown, and it was just a really tough time to end your seminary as well. And she loved poetry. So on her egg, I painted it with her favorite colors and wrote a poem by Kagawa Toyohiko all around it in a spiral and gifted that to her because it was meaningful for her making it through the pandemic lockdown in seminary. And I don't know if you're familiar with Kagawa Toyohiko, but talk about a survivor and a servant of God. Just amazing. And then for anybody who doesn't know what kintsugi is the art of repairing broken pottery. So it is not rendering something broken as useless. It's embracing the use and the beauty of that piece of pottery, of that vessel, by enhancing its brokenness with gold leafing or gold fill. They use other metals, silver, gold, platinum, but the most common one that we see in art is using gold. And so I just looked at that as we're vessels and God is the potter, and
Mm-hmm.
God's healing is the kintsugi of our souls.
Wow. And it was beautiful as I saw the photos.
Yeah. Everyone expressed themselves how they needed to in their own eggs.
Mm-hmm.
I love that idea as well because it's almost, I mean, when I think of an egg, there's one use, which is to eat what's inside of the egg. And in a sense, if you break it, then the use is done. There's nothing that you can, there's nothing that else that it can give you except when you embrace that kintsugi egg exercise, then what it's giving you is the beauty that you can behold. And that's all that's needed sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, we all have our brokenness in our lives, and it does not mean that we are bad or ugly or useless. We're beautiful.
Yep.
We're still beautiful. And we might even be more beautiful
Mm-hmm.
once we kintsugi.
Okay, we're going to pause here because Young disappeared. Okay, she's back.
I'm sensitive to the noise, so I
Oh,
shut
I
the
didn't even
door.
hear it.
I did.
Thank you. Okay, we'll come back.
Yeah, and something that was really impactful for me, outside of sharing it at our retreat, was I shared it. I was a guest preacher at another church in the area, and I shared it with that church. And someone in a prison ministry asked if she could take that exercise to the prison.
Ah,
I cannot think of a better use for that activity.
yes.
Talk about people who must feel broken, so broken, and judged for their brokenness, to
Mm-hmm.
help them feel whole again and beautiful.
Wow.
Have you had any resistance to this exercise when people are participating in it?
I haven't. I have. It's not been made known to me anyway, if anyone has resisted.
Yeah.
People might not feel artistically inclined, but it's not about even the judgment of your own artistic ability. It's beautiful however you do it, you know?
And it's not just the eggs painted that was
Right.
beautiful, but also even though it's photos that I saw, the facial expressions of the woman who are painting, that was beautiful.
Yeah, and then one component that I usually include in that workshop is little slips of paper for a prayer. So if you're making the egg regarding and thinking about something very specific that has happened, you can write down a prayer and then seal it inside your kintsugi egg. And another beautiful part about it is when you crack the egg, you cannot predict how it's going to break.
That's right.
And so those cracks can go all over the place. They can be small cracks. You can have a big gaping hole in it. And it's all lined with gold. So it's all beautiful.
Yes.
Angela, in your current role as a priest, when you minister to people on God's unconditional love, what do you find what do you wish the message of the church would be to people? Like, what is a message that you see now, generally speaking, that's given to people, and what do you wish the message would be?
So for me, it's really hard to accept that God loves us unconditionally. And I understand that. For some people, it might feel impossible to accept that because it's a hard world. Um, and I have a series of icons that I'm an iconographer also,
Mm.
that I write and with mirrors in them because I want people to see themselves in the icon. It's a window into heaven, and we're windows into heaven. And so, one of my icons that I actually wrote for this church that I'm now a priest in, but I once was an intern in, it was my departure gift to the church. But I did Christ Pantocrator with flames, and I have it actually. I can show it to you. It just happens to be in my office right now. Flames coming out of his hand, the light of Christ. But the face part is so that people can look into it and see
Mm.
Christ in them and them
Aha.
in Christ. And what I try to impress upon people is God made you intentionally to love you. Whether the world expresses that same love to you or not, God loves you unconditionally, even if you don't accept it right now. And then I tell them, I love you too.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen. Mostly what I do is listen deeply to people.
Yeah, that's called
Because
the ministry.
unspoken ministry can be the most impactful. Just the
Mm-hmm.
listening.
Now you are adding iconography. You may like Orthodox. They are into icons. So just a little story is when we went to Greek Orthodox Church in Geneva, older generations among us didn't quite resonate with all those icons. And younger generation teens amongst us, they were just totally captivated by those icons. So
I think
that
it's
was
important
interesting.
because none of us is above anyone else. And so I think it's important for people to be able to see themselves as a beloved disciple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are some of your biggest challenges as you are in ministry for you specifically?
For me specifically, I'm a helper. And a fixer.
I
I
saw
want to
that.
fix everything.
I understand
And
that
I can't
feeling.
fix everything. The best I can do is accompany people and and try to help them feel loved, at least by me, if by no one else. But I can't fix problems.
You
So
know,
that's the hardest part.
I don't think you try to fix people. I experienced your help at the retreat that I couldn't go,
Yeah.
but the way you present yourself and offer help was just so soothing and comfortable and calming.
I hope so, and I'm grateful that that's how you received it because that's what I try to do.
And then when my test came out positive, you still remain calm, where some others just freaked out. And I
Yeah.
think that calming presence, in spite of the odds, uh, that made deep, deep impression in my heart. So I
I'm
thank you
grateful.
for that, Angela. It's not one of those let me fix you kind of help, but it is something about your deep, caring presence and genuine offer of help and thoughtfulness. Whoa, that was something I have not received quite some time, because I'm the one who is helping all the
Right.
time. So, yeah, that was so refreshing. That, oh, I get to be the recipient of Angela's genuine help. And then you continue to remain calm when I tested positive. And I had to nudge you, Angela, go ahead and test. You've got to test again. And
Yes.
that blew me away, because I experienced something quite the opposite. Thank you.
Yeah. For me, I think what's key is in my approach is that I know how painful things can be, how painful life can be. And I want to, as much as I possibly can, help alleviate others feeling pain, because it's hard. And if I can't help alleviate it, I at least want to hold their hand through it so that they don't feel alone or abandoned.
Right.
I think something else that I definitely feel from you, Angela, is that there is an incredible reservoir of inner strength I think that you carry. And that's where I think the calmness comes from when you're faced with the crisis. But as a helper myself, I think that inner strength is key to being able to continue to help other people, because unless we fill that, it could get empty so quickly. But I think I just appreciate the way that you carry who you are in all you do, and I think that there's an incredible strength to that.
Thank you.
Which is probably comes from because you embrace Kintsugi and you have learned to embrace every part of yourself, and that shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and something else that feeds me is poetry.
Uh-huh.
I incorporate it in many of my sermons, always in workshops, because poets have a way of putting in words what is so hard to express in our feelings, And it's comforting for me to read someone else's expressions of something that I feel so deeply and sometimes find hard to find the words.
Is there one in particular that resonates with you quite strongly that you can share with us?
There's the Guest House by Rumi. I love that poem.
Oh, I love Rumi.
Yes. I would have to look it up to share it with you. I might have it. I actually save poetry on my phone. Some of my favorites.
While you are searching, I was thinking about, as you talked about poetry, Howard Thurman, that Joana also quoted, Jesus, this inherited. Oh, my poetry coming out of that book is just so powerful.
Actually, oh, no, it's not America I Sing Back. Anyway, let me look up. I have so many, I could just go crazy with the poems, but let me just look up Rumi Guest House.
I feel like, Angela, you should add audiobook or somebody who reads on your list of your list of backgrounds, because every time you read something, it's so soothing.
Oh,
And your voice.
Yeah, I love listening to you.
oh, thank you. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready for
Yes.
this? Okay. The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of all its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Wow.
It's basically telling us to embrace joy, no matter
Because,
how hard it gets.
because life is short.
Yeah.
Where I'm at, every day is a gift.
I think that's the most appropriate way to end.